Hello, everybody. Good morning. Alrighty, that time again. How's everybody doing this morning? Sunday morning. It's 6:21 here. 83 degrees outside. So how's everybody doing today? Yep, morning. Welcome. Everybody hit the like button. Don't forget to share out the live. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a hot one today, everybody. It's already 83 degrees at 6:22 in the morning. Damn. Here in California. Ooh. Yep. Yeah, it's nice and sunny out there today. Bright and sunny. Yep. Yesterday when I got off of work, I'm coming home from work, and it's 106 degrees outside. Still, this was like at 3:30 in the afternoon, and then all of a sudden I'm driving home, and then all of a sudden, boom, the air conditioning stopped working. I'm like, what the heck? No air. I'm like, oh man. I was like, what's going on? So I'm like, Jesus. So my blower motor, I guess it died. So I'm like, oh, maybe it just needs to be tapped. Nah, nothing. It was making noise for a while, and then all of a sudden it went poof, nothing, no air at all. And then all of a sudden, so I'm like, oh man. So as soon as I got home, I got to town. I went to O'Reilly Auto Parts, because that wasn't the original motor. The original motor went out. This is a 2017 Toyota Corolla. So the original motor went out about 2 years ago in September. So I replaced it. The good thing is, it has a warranty. It's a lifetime warranty. So it was covered. So yeah, because it's a $217 for the blower motor. So I'm like, I got it, paid for it. Then I went home. When I got home, then I told my son to go in, so he kind of helped me. It's not that hard. It's only 3 screws and a plug to take off to get it out. You just got to remove the glove box door and this little panel underneath. So it's pretty simple. And if you would take it to a shop, it's total, you're probably going to be paying about $400 for everything, the parts plus labor. So then I said, nah, So good thing they had it in stock because sometimes they don't have stuff in stock. You gotta order it. And I'm like, oh man. And then on a holiday weekend, you know how things go. You never can get anything. But luckily, I had enough time and took it off, and now, ooh, nice fresh air still. But yeah, I was like, dang, no air conditioning. I mean, the only good thing was I was on the freeway, so I would just, put it through the air outside, pushing the air through the vent. That kind of cooled the car down. But as soon as I go into the city and not moving very much, no airflow, man, it would start to get hot inside the car. Can't live without AC out here, man. It's crazy. Yeah, so got that fixed. It like never fails, something's gonna break when you least expect it. But everybody, go check out my community tab. Go check out my channel list. Go check out the list of all the channels. Got cooking channels. Got fishing channels. Magnet fishing channels. Bloggers. Gamers. Paranormal. Got reptile channels. Got arachnids. With tarantulas. Isopods. Got guys that have Hot Wheels, like Hot Wheels. Got guys that build models. Vegetables, grow their own food, have their chickens, their pigs, their cows. Every kind of channel. Go check them out. Here's the part of the internet freeway where it goes in and out. So we'll see how it goes today. Yeah, so I was like, oh man, that's all I needed. But I took care of it. In less than an hour, I was done returning it, getting my money back. But yeah, it was crazy. No AC, man. You can feel the heat. It's like a sauna. But how's everybody doing today? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're at. Yeah, there's not too much traffic right now. Typical Sunday. But the sun is out and bright. Yep. Yeah, so I was kind of tired yesterday. Then tomorrow I got to do a 12-hour shift. Gonna be a long one. Gonna be a long day tomorrow, 4th of July. Yeah, we'll see how many stupid people burn their house down tomorrow. Throw the fireworks where they're not supposed to and light up the whole place. Yeah, I remember this was like back in the 70s, you know, and it was gonna be the 4th of July, so my parents got us some fireworks, my grandmother too, and I was at my grandma's house. We used to live. My grandma we had a property that had two houses on it. Had one in the front and one in the back. My grandma lived in the front, and then we lived in the back. But then my grandma started getting older, so then my mom and my dad said, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you go move in and stay at your grandma's? That way you can kind of keep an eye out on them." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So, and then she had foster kids, and then we're in one of the rooms one time, and then those sparklers, those sparklers that you just light. They don't explode or anything. They just sparkle, but they're very strong. They're like to the point where you could probably stick them in water and they're still gonna keep going. So here we are, in the room, and kids, we're always doing stuff we're not supposed to. So one of the kids, he has a lighter, and he's all like, "Hey, let's light it, let's light it." And it was like, nah, man, gonna get in trouble. No, come on. So then he lights up one of the sparklers, and we're like, "Oh, okay." And then the thing is, then it starts going off, and it's like, shh, sparklers are real bright and stuff. And we're like, "Oh shit, we're gonna get in trouble. Turn it off. We're like blowing at it, and it don't turn off, and we even put it on the floor, step on it, and you can't turn it off. It's like you gotta just let it finish, So we're like, okay, I guess we'll just let it burn out. But those things are like fire sticks, man. They'll burn shit. Burn a hole into something. But nobody found out. And then we used to live like right by the border. So my dad, we used to go across the border, go buy real fireworks, the ones that explode and shit. We got the M80s and stuff like that. And then we used to cross them over this way. Back then there wasn't that much of a problem. Now if they catch you doing it, it's like crossing drugs. It's like crossing ammunition across the border. You get in trouble. Illegal fireworks, you're not allowed to transport across the county lines or the border lines. So we used to go and visit some of my dad's friends, and we used to light fireworks over there. We had the bottle rockets. You get like a soda. That's why they call them bottle rockets. You put them in the bottle and then light them up, and they go shoom up in the air and then explode. And then you had the M80s. Those are like a stick of dynamite. I know kids that have blown their hands off. Blown their hands off with that. In fact, I think there was a NFL player, a football player. He blew two of his fingers off with those fireworks. He was lighting it. He lit it up, and then he didn't throw it on time, because usually those have a short fuse. That's so typical. Let's see. We're gonna make this dangerous firework. We don't need a big long, fuse to light to give us time to run away. Let's just make a short fuse, and then it's gonna go fast. Boom! Blow your hands off. And then I remember we had some smaller ones, but they were pretty loud. We used to light them up and throw them in the air, and boom. But sometimes you'd mess up and you throw them in the air and not too high, and they're coming down and boom and blow right by your ear. You're like, oh man, and start hearing bells. It's like, oh, I can't hear for a second. Yeah, and then my neighbor, he was crazy, man. He used to torture animals. I mean, hey, I don't know, this guy was crazy. He used to like torturing cats. Yeah, one time he got a firework, firecracker. It was not the big ones, but it was the regular size ones, and he stuck it in the cat was walking, and then boom. I mean, it didn't kill the cat, but it was like, I was like, God, man, you're crazy, dude. Then he used to stick. He had like a vice, stick their head in a vice and kill them. I'm like, oh man, this guy's a psycho. One of those Jeffrey Dahmers. Well, I don't know. I guess he grew up and he kind of changed. But yeah, we used to have fun back in the days. We used to get the fireworks. Back then, you had trash cans made out of metal. Like a big barrel made out of metal, and we used to light the firecrackers, throw them inside there, and boom! You could hear the explosion real loud. Or stick a can upside down, light it, put it underneath, and the can would go flying up in the air. Dangerous stuff. I mean, I remember we had, how now they got Legos. We've always had Legos, but then back in the day, we also had there was this toy. It was called Erectaset, and you could build like moving parts, and you can do like bridges, buildings, and all the pieces were made out of metal, real thin metal that you could easily cut your fingers with it. Back in the day, there was no such thing as safety, like child safety. Like nowadays, you can't buy certain things. It's like for only ages over 12 years old, or because it's a choking fact. A choking. Danger. But they never think about that. Now, back in the day, it's like, he'll be okay. And then back in the day, you cut yourself. You didn't go to the doctor. You don't go get stitches. Stitches were for bitches, they were saying. Only babies needed stitches. Oh, man. I remember one time I was walking. We were playing outside, and I was probably around 12. We were playing outside on the sidewalk. We had like a wagon, 4 wheels, and they had a handle where you could pull somebody, or you would turn it around, they could steer it, and then you could push somebody. Well, so I was pushing my little brother in it, and I'm like pushing on the sidewalk real fast, like boom, running real fast. And back then, you would walk around barefooted. You had. The floor was burning hot, but you would still burn. It would still, burn your feet a little bit. So here I am pushing them, and then when I turn around and I'm going the other way, I see like blood stain on the sidewalk, and I'm like, oh, and then I don't even think about it. I'm like, oh, then I keep going, and then all of a sudden I turn around again and I see even more. I'm like, what the heck? And then I look at my foot, my foot is bleeding. So I cut the bottom of my foot and up the side a bit. And I was like, oh shit, you know. So I go inside the house, you know, because I was all bleeding. And then my grandma's all like, you'll be okay. You know, you get this iodine. You used to put this iodine on cuts, and it sting like, oh man, it burned. But it would protect it from getting infected. You know, and then they're all like, oh, just put your leg up in the air, you know, above your heart, so that way the blood won't keep going. And then they would put a Band-Aid on it. After they put that stuff on it, they put a Band-Aid on it. Big cut. You don't need a stitch. You know? I mean, we used to always play these dangerous games, you know? You know, if you didn't have a toy, you'd make a toy. We used to play this game. You know, back then you could play with marbles and stuff like that. And then there was a game. We used to call it. It was called like. I think it was called. They called it Chungai. It was probably some made-up word. And the way you played it with two sticks. You know, a short stick and like one of the sticks was about maybe like, I'd say 6 inches long, and the other stick was about maybe almost 2 feet long. And the way you made this, you would get an old broom, handle, you know, wooden broom handle, and you'd cut it to the right sizes. Well, the way you would play it, you would dig a hole. You would dig a hole first, and then they would have, you know, people would stay on the other side, and you would hit the stick. You could either hit the stick or you put it on the ground and then you flip it in the air, and the other guy tried to catch it. If he caught it, then you were out. Then it was his turn. Then if he didn't catch it and he dropped it, then you would count with the other stick. You would count how many, you know, like kind of like measure it. You know, 1, 2, 3, how far the stick was, and you would get points, and you would reach to a certain amount, and that's how you would win. Well, you know, when you would hit it in the air and try to make him not catch it, you know, it's a stick. It goes flying like real crazy. Yeah, one time I was gonna try to catch it, and he hit the stick, and boom, hit me right on the side of the head. Big gash. Started bleeding from my head too. You know, same thing. We don't go to the hospital. Go inside. Mom put some iodine on it. You're fine. Go back outside and play. You know. But yeah, we used to play dangerous games back then. Or the other game, you know, like stick ball. We used to play stick ball with a ball and a stick, kind of like baseball, but it was a rubber ball. And then we'd play, and then if you would catch it, then the punishment was, if you would lose, you would have to stand by the wall, and then with that same rubber ball, we would throw the rubber ball at you, like hitting you with it. You know, nothing but torture games, you know, back then. Nowadays, kids don't have any fun. We don't even go out. Now the kids don't even go outside. Oh no, it's too hot. You know. And then back then, you had a trophy. The winners would get trophies, the losers would get nothing. That's why it was called winners and losers. Now, oh no, everybody gets a trophy for participating. You know, it's like, yeah, right. Oh, we don't want to hurt their feelings. You know, it's gonna hurt their little feelings if they lose. Yeah, well, what's gonna happen when they go into the real world when they lose their job or they get fired? You know, when they have to do a cutback or the company's going under. You know, it's like I remember one day I used to work for this one auto company. And it was up north over there by San Jose. It wasn't that big of a company. It was, maybe like two to three stores, maybe. So it was a mom and pop auto parts store, but they were pretty good because they were their guarantee was if we can't get it, no one can. So if you wanted a part, we would find it for you, no matter what. I mean, it would cost you, but you didn't have to worry about looking for it. If you needed an old part for like a 1930s car, an old car or something, we would find it for you. So, I worked there for about 2 years, and then on the third year, the 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 company started hearing rumors, that the company was going under, that they were gonna close one of the stores, and they did, and then the some of the inventory started to get less and less, and so we're like, oh shoot, then they let one of the drivers go because we also had deliveries, and then one of the drivers, they got rid of them. So we're like, oh shoot, so everybody started talking, hey man, they're gonna start getting rid of us, and then I told them, you better go look for a job before you lose it, and they're like, nah, we'll be okay. Because one day I get to work, I'm all ready to work, I get to work. And then all of a sudden, the boss is all like, hey, I need to talk to you. You need to come to the office. And I go, well, I got to go punch in. He goes, don't worry about punching in. We'll write you in for your hours today. I'm like, what? What do you mean? They're like, well, we're going to have to let you go. I mean, basically they're firing you, but not firing you because it wasn't something that you did wrong. It was just that they're not making enough money, so they can't pay you, so they have to let you go. So then the guy already had my check for all for the hours that I had worked. Had a check for all the vacation pay, whatever they owed me and stuff, and also for the hours that I would have to work that day. So he's all like, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're a very good employee and all this, but the company's hasn't been doing good, so we have to let you go. I'm like, oh, okay, well. So I had to collect unemployment for a couple of months, then until I got another job. But yeah, I mean, it was crazy because and then I went back to the store. They were down to one store, And then the warehouse, they said they were pretty soon they were going to close the warehouse. And I told the guy, hey man, the manager, one of the assistant managers, they go, you better go look for a job. They're gonna let you go. No. Okay. Yeah, after a couple of months, they closed the last store. The business was completely closed. But yeah, it was like, oh, okay. Yeah, and then we used to deliver. We used to deliver to dealerships. And when a dealership called us, they needed a part. Like one time, it was funny because they called us up and they ordered. I don't know if you know what Vaseline is. Vaseline is like a lubricant. For your skin and for other things. People use Vaseline for. So they called up and they said, hey, can you pick up? We need 7 jars of Vaseline. The big ones. And then I'm like, oh, what? So I had to go to like a pharmacy, like a drugstore, and they had sold the Vaseline at. So then I picked up the Vaseline. Then I had to go deliver it. And then I told the guy, I go, hey, what's the deal with the Vaseline? What are you going to use the Vaseline for? And he goes, well, it gets pretty expensive, when people bring their cars here to the dealership, He's all like, when we give the bill to the customer, you don't want to screw them without a little Vaseline. I'm like, come on. I go, you're lying, tell me the real truth. What is it? What is it for? And he goes, no, this is for the transmission shop. The transmission shop, that rebuilds transmissions. What they do is when they rebuild the transmission, there's no oil. Transmission fluid inside the transmission. So after you rebuild it and then you start it up, all those parts in there are going to be going. There's not going to be any lubrication, so they're going to mess up. It's going to mess up the material, and it's gonna waste some of the material. So then what they did, the Vaseline, they would coat all the parts with a little layer of Vaseline on them. So that way, by the time the oil got there, the Vaseline at least it lubricated it a bit. Then by the time that burned down, then the oil got there and everything was going to be fine. And the Vaseline isn't going to hurt the transmission because it's a natural lubricant, And then Vaseline is waterproof. If you like apply it on your skin and throw water on it, it doesn't falls off the water. But yeah, it's like 5 jars of Vaseline. It's like damn. But yeah, that's what they use the Vaseline for. So then I went to go get another job somewhere else, and then I worked for Cragen Auto Parts for a lot of years. I think it was over 15 years, I think. But now it's O'Reilly's Auto Parts. Back in the day, it was Checkers, and Cragen's, and we were owned by Lucky's, It was a grocery store. So Lucky's grocery store chain owned a lot of these auto parts, and they also owned another store that was called Yellow Front. Back in the day, this was back in the '70s. They owned the Yellow Front, so they were pretty big. The chain. They had a lot of grocery chains. And the Yellow Front was kind of almost like a Walgreens type of store. You know, so then people started getting worried because the company wasn't doing so well. They started selling off part of the company. First, they started off selling off all the Yellow Front stores. So they got rid of all the Yellow Front stores. Then after that, they decided to sell off all the Checker and Craigens, because I think this guy his name was Craigen. He owned part of the like stocks. So then he decided to buy the whole company of auto parts. And then they had the Checker stores. So they bought all those stores. Back in the day it was only Craigen's, Checkers, and then they had Chief Auto Parts. Chief Auto Parts. Then they started going out of business, Chief Auto Parts, and then they were going to start closing. At one time, Craigen's was thinking of closing, of not closing, of purchasing the Chief Auto Parts, but they said nah. They decided not to. So then AutoZone bought them out. So because they wanted to spread out, because AutoZone was only in the East Coast, and then Craigen's, they were only here. So then that's when they bought some other company, I forget what other auto company. I think it was McGregor's or something. And then it became O'Reilly's. So now I believe it's the largest chain now of auto parts. O'Reilly's Auto Parts. But yeah, I worked for a lot of years, and you would get customers, coming with their batteries, and we'd have to check them out. We used to do the old battery acid test to see how if the acid was still good in there. Then we would load test it. If it didn't have enough load, we had to charge it for a certain amount of hours and then test it. And if it was bad, we replaced it. So, you'd get customers bringing in batteries, that, people would like bring on the battery, and then the terminals at the top of the batteries were all smashed. And I'm like, what the heck? Why are the terminals all smashed? And they're like, oh, well, it's because the terminal was loose. Instead of buying new terminals or terminal ends and replacing them, they would hammer on them, and that would supposedly would tighten them up, but it really didn't. Just ruin it. You're hammering the top of the battery into the, it's lead. Lead is not hard. It's soft. So, it was like, oh man, here you are hammering and hammering, ruining the battery. And then we tell them, no, sorry, that's not covered under the warranty. That's abuse, because it states it on there. Any abuse by the customer, or if you didn't bolt it down, Because sometimes people don't bolt the battery down and suddenly they're bouncing around. I had one customer, he brings in his battery and he has it inside of a plastic box. So, and then I open it up because I got to check the acid. And I look in and there's no acid inside. I go, where's the battery acid? Oh, well, I dumped it out because I didn't want to get it, leak on the car. Yeah, okay. So I said, well, we have to fill it up with battery acid and then we have to charge it and test it and see if it's any good. And then I go, but you need to pull it out of the box because I have to check it out. So he pulls it out of the box. And then I look at the side of the battery. There's like a big gash, like a big fan blade cut into it. That's why he took out the battery acid, because he didn't take it out. It leaked out. Basically, it just leaked out completely out of the battery. I told him, you know what? This isn't covered. That's abuse. I go, that's why it's supposed to be bolted down. So, because, you bounce around, you get on off roads or whatever, it's going to bounce around. And that's what happened. It bounced right into the motor, the fan motor blade, and gashed the battery. He's lucky it didn't explode. So I'm like, you need to buy a new one. I can take it in as a core, but that's all it's worth, $5 core charge. And so it's like, oh, and then you would get had one customer that had a VW Bug, those Volkswagen Beetles, and those, they have the battery. It's in the back seat. You lift up the back seat and the battery's inside there, And since it's in the seat, the battery needs to be real low, because if it's too tall, the battery, it's gonna the metal seat, when you sit somebody in the back seat, they're gonna end up, touching the positive and ground of the battery, and boom, gonna explode the battery or short it out. So this guy, he brings in the battery, and he's all like, yeah, you know what? There's something wrong with this battery. Didn't want to start my car. I'm like, what do you mean you didn't want to start your car? Yeah, I think it was built backwards. I'm like, what? What do you mean it was built backwards? He goes, yeah, the positive is the negative and the negative is the positive. I'm like, no. I'm like, the thing is, these batteries, the positive is thicker and the negative is smaller. They make it that way so you can tell the difference, so you don't put the wrong terminal on the wrong, host. But people are that stupid that they'll force it on there. If it doesn't fit, they'll like pry it open and put it on the wrong side. That's what this guy did. He put the battery wrong, so then when you try to start it, it reversed the polarity in the battery, and it's not going to start because it'll like make everything go backwards. So then, as soon as I put the battery on the charger, to test it, it like the needle went like the opposite way, and then boom, it went the other way. It reversed the polarity of the battery, so then it was back to normal. And I tested it and it worked fine. And I told the guy, look, there's nothing wrong with the battery. Make sure you put the battery in right. Your positive and negative. If you put it in wrong, you're gonna mess it up. That guy never came back, And then one time we had a customer. He brought the battery back, he said, because it didn't work, it didn't start. When you buy a new battery, it has these little covers on it. It has plastic covers, and then you got to peel them off. Well, the positive is red and the negative is black. Well, this guy thought that he didn't think there was one on the negative, so he just you know he put the positive on because he took the positive off, because it's all red, and then the black one he couldn't tell the difference, so he didn't take it off, and he's all like, yeah, this battery didn't work, and it didn't start my car. I'm like, well, it would help if you take this off. I took the thing off, and he goes, oh my god, yeah. I go, yeah, it has a plastic cover on it. So he's all like, oh, okay. And then there was this other guy. He comes in and he's all like, I need a battery, and he was in a hurry. He's all like, I need a battery. And I go, well, what kind of car do you have? And he goes, oh, don't worry about it. Just give me any battery. I go, no, every car takes a different kind of battery. There's tall ones, there's short ones, there's real thin ones. There's let's see who was in here. Let's see. Kenzie TV, Sleuth, Mark the Spider Guy, welcome. Sea of Serpents, welcome. Dance 87, what's up? Gonna go to the beach, huh? I guess that's why it's Sea of Serpents. Going to the beach. Let's see. Zelda. All right. Zelda. What's up? I'm good. Yeah, going to work. Yeah, I watched your show, Zelda. I didn't make the live, but I watched it afterwards. Yeah, thanks for the support, man. Yay, custom screening. Welcome. Yeah, so then this other guy, he's in a rush, and he's all like, yeah, give me any battery. I'm like, no, well, they're all different. So he couldn't wait. He grabs, because we had batteries also on the showroom. So he just grabs any kind of battery, just grabs this one. And it's a real tall battery. So he takes it to the register, and and then I go, hey, there's a core charge. When you bring your old one, we'll give you back the money. He goes, yeah. So he takes off, goes to the parking lot, and like less than a couple of minutes later, here he comes with the battery. Brand new battery, but it's all exploded on the top. I don't know, what happened and this and that. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what happened? You probably connected something wrong or something, because battery is not going to explode just for nothing. No, I didn't. I'm like, okay. I go, it looks right. And then I looked on the top of the battery, and the terminal had a black spot, like, some metal touched, positive and ground. What happened is he closed the hood. The battery that he got, it was too tall. So the hood, metal hood, it touched both positive, negative. Boom! It exploded the battery. So I told him, okay, what kind of vehicle do you have? He had a Jeep, a Jeep, a Cherokee. It was a CJ Jeep. And those hoods are real small. I mean, it's short. So the battery he needed was almost like the Volkswagen battery, but it was a different one, because and then also there's a positive and negative, because if you put the wrong battery, the positive is going to be on the wrong side, and then your terminal is not going to reach. So that's why there's some batteries that got a positive on that side. Sometimes it's on the other side. So you got to look up what kind of car it is always. But this guy was such in a hurry, but guess what? He ended up having to wait anyways. So I told him, okay, well, I could take the battery as a core, but it's not going to, I can't, there's no warranty on it, because, hey, I told you. but you were in such a hurry. So he ended up paying for 2 batteries in less than an hour. I'm like, hey, should do that next time, But people, they don't want to do it. They don't want to wait. Rush, rush, rush. Yep. So thanks a lot, everybody, for coming in. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, depending wherever you're at. God bless everybody that came in and gave a like. Don't forget to share out the live. Thank you for coming in. God bless you. Until next time, as Keith says, call your mama, tell her you love her, because you don't know how long you're going to have her. See you, everybody. Bye-bye.